Okay, let's start this lesson with something that you already know. I want to get this ingrained in your mind, understand completely that you've got it. The number 7. How do we change the number 7 into a fraction? You've got it. As a fraction, 7 is just 7 over 1, right? Okay, very good. Before we go any further, I just want to have a conversation to you about negative people. I'm not a real big fan of negative people. They always seem like they just want to be somewhere else, right? Like if my students are walking around in the hall and it's a passing period or if it's before school, right? And I am a little bit late getting to my room, you always complain about it, right? Like, Mr. Holsop, we had to stand outside this whole time. Like, let us in. Okay, right? Then they come in my class, 30 minutes later, they want to be back out in the hall, right? Mr. Holsop, can I go get a drink? Can I go to the bathroom? Mr. Holsop, when is class going to be over, right? And just kind of in general, a negative person always wants to be somewhere else, okay? Well, we get that. The thing is, negative exponents are also same way as people. Negative exponents always want to be somewhere where they're not, right? And when they get somewhere where they're not, just like you, when you're outside and you get to come inside, all of a sudden you get happy, right? When you're in my classroom and you need to go get a drink or go to the bathroom and you want to be back out in the hall, when you're negative inside, you go back to where you want to be. You just change your location and all of a sudden you're happy again, right? Same thing with exponents. Negative exponents want to be somewhere else, so we change their location and all of a sudden they get happy again. Let me show you what I mean. First of all, let's change each one of these into a fraction, okay? X to the negative 4th, that's the same thing as x to the negative 4th over 1, right? We did it with 7 right at the beginning. Same thing here, just put it over 1. Now, what do we know about a negative exponent? It wants to be somewhere else, and then once it gets there, it's going to become positive. So here's what I got. X to the negative 4th is on the top. So what does it want to do? It wants to go to the bottom, and when it gets there, it is positive. A positive x to the 4th. We still need something up top, so that's going to be 1. So x to the negative 4th is just equal to 1 over x to the positive 4th. Okay? Let's look at this one. Now, this one is different. Okay? Watch this. Negative x to the 4th. I got a question. What's negative here? Is it the exponent? It's not the exponent. My exponent is positive 4. What's negative? It's just the x, right? But that doesn't matter. We're talking about exponents now. If the exponent is negative, we're going to have to change its spot. But this exponent is positive, and so this is kind of a trick question. This is just going to stay exactly like it is. All right? Now, let's look at the next one. Next one, we do have a negative exponent. So we think about this as a fraction. That negative exponent wants to go where it's not. And on the bottom, that negative exponent is going to be positive. Again, we have to have something on the top, so it's going to be a 1. Now, please, 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 please notice my x did not become positive when it went to the bottom. Okay? It stayed a negative. What changed? The exponent changed. The exponent changed from a negative to a positive. Not my number, not my variable, just the exponent. Okay? Let's look at this next one. Okay, so now we've got a fraction. We've got a fraction. That x to the negative 4 doesn't like where it is. It's on the bottom of that fraction. It wants to move, so it's going to go to the top of the fraction, and it's going to become positive. The exponent is going to become positive. The negative 4 becomes a positive 4 on the top. That 3, there is no exponent with that at all. There's no negative exponent, so we're not going to move it. That 3x to the 4th just stays on the top. Now, I don't need to have anything on the bottom of a fraction. I can just erase that. 3 divided by x to the negative 4th is actually going to be 3x to the 4th. Okay, let's look at this last one. y to the negative third. That negative third is a problem. I don't want a negative exponent. It wants to move. It's on the bottom, so that negative exponent is going to move to the top and become a positive exponent. Y to the positive third. And what about that negative 5? Do I move it to the bottom since it's negative? No. There's not an exponent. There's not a negative exponent on that negative 5. It's just a negative 5. So that's going to stay right where it is. All right? One more time, let me make sure you caught that. We're only moving something if the exponent is negative. Doesn't matter about the number, doesn't matter about that coefficient out there. That doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is if the exponent is negative. That's when we're going to move it. So that negative 5 doesn't have a negative exponent, so it's going to stay right where it is. Again, I don't have to have anything on the bottom of a fraction. So that is going to be my answer right there. Now, let's put some stuff together, shall we? Okay, let's simplify this. 4x to the negative third. Well, this is just like a 4x to the negative third over 1, right? And I see a negative exponent, so this whole parenthesis right here is being taken to that negative exponent. So that is all going to go on the bottom, 4x, and the exponent changes from a negative to a positive, and we have to have something on the top. Now let's simplify this a little bit more, just looking at the bottom. What are we doing down there using our exponent ladder? This is all going to the third power, so we're on the powers. So we are going to do the numbers first. 4 to the third is going to be 64. Then we're going to climb a level and multiply the exponents. X to the third, this is like x to the first. 1 times 3 is just going to be x to the third. So this is all going to simplify. 4x to the negative third is the same thing as 1 over 64x to the third. Let's do this next one. Okay, all of this is being taken to the negative second power. So that's got to go from the top to the bottom, negative 8x, and we're going to change the exponent to a positive 2 since we changed its sides. Notice again, the 8 did not change. Only change the exponents. Okay, now let's do this on the bottom. Negative 8x squared. So again, we're in the powers. Negative 8x to the second power. We're going to do the numbers first. So still on the bottom. Negative 8 squared. Be careful here. That's a positive 64. Climb a level and do the exponents. That exponent for the x is like a 1. So 1 times 2. We're going to multiply that. It's just going to be x squared. So negative 8x to the negative 2 is equal to 1 over 64x squared. Okay, let's get insane here. All right, so see a negative exponent, we have to change where it is. 5x to the fifth. Change that exponent to a positive 4. Okay, come back down. Powers, since that's all going to the fourth power. We've got to take 5 to the fourth power. 5 to the fourth power is going to be 625. And then we need to go up a level and multiply our exponents. 5 times 4, this is going to be x to the 20th. 1 over 625, x to the 20th. Look at all the negatives in this one. This one is going to be fun. All right, so what is this one going to be equal to? I'm going to write it underneath it. We've got all of that on the top going to the negative fourth. So we're going to have to put it on the bottom. And when it goes to the bottom, that exponent is going to the fourth power. Okay, that one. Notice I didn't change any other signs. The only one I changed was that negative 4 exponent. Okay, now look at what we have on the bottom. Once again, we are powers. It's all going to the fourth power. So negative 3 to the fourth power is going to be positive 81. Then we need to climb a level and multiply our exponents. Negative 2 times 4, this is going to be x to the negative 8. All right, now, I still have a negative exponent in there, and I don't like that, so let's move it. That exponent wants to go to the other side and turn positive. So x to the negative 8 goes to the top and becomes x to the positive 8. And on the bottom, we still have 81. And that's our final answer. X to the positive 8th over 81. Now, that one was tough. All right, if you got through that one, you're really, really doing good. Don't worry, on the exam, there's not going to be many that are that difficult, all right? But just stick with it. No, if you see a negative exponent, it wants to go to the other side of that fraction and become a positive exponent, all right? I know it's tricky, but I know you got it. Good luck.